What is up, y'all? It's your girl Cecilia and I'm back with another video today. As you can tell from the video title, we're going to be talking about all things self-love journey. Your girl has been on a self-love journey for a minute now, and I'm going to share with y'all kind of where I was at before, why I knew I needed to figure out how to love myself, and where I'm at today and all that shit in between, good and bad shit. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Cecilia. Welcome. Be sure that you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any more of my uploads, and without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, you guys, so we're gonna set the scene. We're gonna move back in time about 10 to 12 years, right? 10 to 12 years, is my math right? Yeah, so about like 13 to 15-year-old Cecilia, right? Middle child, which if you're a middle child and you had the traditional middle child experience, there needs to be no explanation. I was a middle child, a people pleaser. What else? I was an anxious mess, like top-notch anxious mess. Not just like, oh, I'm a little nervous, like full on, I'm thinking I'm about to leave this planet and go see Jesus type of anxious mess. What else? I could not make a decision to save my life. I was like also like really kind. I didn't only have bad characteristics. I was like super kind and compassionate and funny. Still am funny. Some people might debate that, but we all know it's true. I was smart. I'm still smart, but like all those things also were who I was at that time, right? But I, at some point, around like, I don't know how old I was exactly. It was a while. I stayed that way for majority of my life. This is a new self-love journey that we're on, right? But I kind of had an aha moment where I realized that whoever, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever it may be, we're all here for a reason. Like, I feel like we all have a purpose here on this planet, if that makes sense. And your girl was not at all living up to the potential of what I could be being alive. Like, I was just not. In my mind, I was a mess. Like, be gentle with yourself when you talk about yourself, but I gotta be real, I was a fucking mess, okay? So that was where I was at. Kind of had that aha moment of like, bitch, you gotta get your shit together. I also hated how I looked. Super overweight. I actually ended up after, yeah, like I was always overweight, but then I gained even more weight because they tried to put me on antidepressants for my anxiety. It didn't help. My face blew up. It was like a mess, right? But now let me tell you where your girl is at today. Your girl is beautiful as ever. Lost a significant amount of weight. I still have more weight to lose, but I'm very happy with where I'm at so far, and very happy with the direction I'm going. I am confident I can make a decision. I can say fucking no. I can, what else? I'm not really anxious anymore. Like, I have a moment every now and then, but nowhere near where I was at. I am thriving in life and in loving myself, and I just genuinely, like, if I wasn't me, I would love to be in my presence, if that makes sense, in the most humble way possible. So it took a lot of work. Like I said, it didn't come easy to me. But I'm gonna tell y'all how I got from there to here and where I still have to go, because it's like an everlasting thing, which kind of sucks sometimes, but it's also beautiful because there's always potential to continue to be better. Okay, first things first, when I started to love myself, like I said, hated how I looked. My physical was trash at the time. Like, I'm not saying you gotta be skinny to love yourself, but for me, I was not healthy. I was not happy with how I looked when I looked in the mirror. And also my mental was like I said, 4 to 5 panic attacks a day, garbaggio. So when I first started figuring out that I wanted to actually love myself and feel good about myself, first thing I did was I prioritized my health in all aspects. I think some people either they just focus on mental health or physical health, but there's also like spiritual health and emotional health, and all these things matter in who you are and how you feel. So I started with walking. I lost a good amount of weight, walked every single day, like 6 miles a day. I put in a podcast, which was also so therapeutic mentally, and I would just walk. Like, it is hot as shit outside, and I would just get out there and go. So I started getting more active. I started figuring out how to have a healthier relationship with food, because I really didn't at the time. Trigger warning if you have any experiences with any type of issues with food. I'm not trying to set you off, I'm just being honest about my experience. I also started back going to therapy. When I tell y'all, I used to be in therapy as a kid, and I don't know if you've ever been, maybe you have a different experience, but for me in therapy as a kid, one, I felt like your parents are more involved in it, and two, I would just go in there and I had no, like I said, no sense of like decision making. So I would just go sit down and tell them about my day, and like I'm sure they were therapizing me or whatever you would call it, but I didn't feel like I was growing. This time I started back going to an old therapist that I used to go to. And when I first met with her, I was like, I always want to say when I like act as if I'm talking to somebody, I'd be like, yo, so like not yo, but I was just like, hey, and I made a list of everything that I was like, this isn't working for me. I need to understand why I do this. This is going great. How can I better it? And I advocated for myself. So honestly, part of loving yourself is advocating for yourself in more ways than just therapy, in relationships with family, significant other, friends. Advocate for yourself. But so I started going to therapy. I began to be more active physically, like I said, even just down to walking. There's tons of ways to be active. You don't have to like hit the gym. I mean, you can, but like you don't have to. You can skate, you can swim, you can play sports, you can, whatever it might be, move your body, because your body can only feel as good as you take care of it. It's the true thing. All right, now I don't know if y'all are spiritual or religious or none of the above or all of the above, but when I first started manifesting, I was like, yo, this is a crock of shit, because basically what I saw was everyone just being like, my life is gonna be great, I'm gonna be rich, I am gonna have this, and they did nothing to like make it happen. So I was like, okay, bullshit. But then I really started to understand it. So I think manifesting is super, super important. Actually, you have to visualize the life that you want to create. You have to figure out where you want to go, because part of loving yourself is becoming your best self. And if that's physically, mentally, financially, where you want to live, whatever it might be, you want to like literally sit down and come up with what your dream life is, if that makes sense. Now you may not get every single thing on that list, but a majority of it, you at least will be having a direction of where your life is going. And when you do that for yourself, honestly, I feel loved by myself when I do the things that I say I'm gonna do, and I create the life that I want to create, if that makes sense. Also, okay, it goes past like financial, where you want to live, your relationship, your kids, whatever it might be. It goes past that. You also have to figure out part of maybe manifesting, or I don't know what you would call it, right? But you got to figure out, how do you want to feel about yourself? How do you want to view yourself? What characteristics do you want to have that you currently do not have? And what characteristics do you currently have that you think are bullshit, that you don't want to keep? For me, like I said, apologizing all the time, being unsure of every fucking decision I ever made. Those were characteristics that I was like, nope, we got to get that shit together. And I have, for the most part. All right, the next thing is that you gotta prioritize yourself. You gotta prioritize me time, whether that be meditating, reading, walking, shopping, whatever it might be. You gotta take time to genuinely figure out the things you enjoy to do and do them. You don't have to neglect your other relationships to make yourself a priority. Like, I don't know how else to explain that, but like that, if you have parents or siblings or friends or a significant other, they should also want to do the thing, like they should also do the thing. If working out, if you know they enjoy certain hobbies or whatever, you should also do that, if that makes sense. So prioritizing yourself, it makes you feel good about yourself. And I definitely think that depending on where you're at in life, it's definitely if you're just by yourself, you live by yourself, you are more introverted, you don't necessarily have to think about other people as much. I mean, you still should, but like if you have a significant other or friends or siblings or parents or whatever it might be, you might have to take into consideration like compromising, like, okay, well, I really like to go, you know, do X, Y, and Z, and you like to go do this. Let's go do it all. Like, fuck it, let's have fun. But really prioritizing the things that you like to do and the things that make you feel good. Meditation is something that I really struggled with when I first started on this whole self-love journey. Actually, when I was anxious, I used to try guided meditation. I would search it up on YouTube, and when I tell you that shit would put me to sleep, I would YouTube it when I was having a panic attack, and I would turn on the video and I would just lay down, and I'd go from thinking I'm about to die to being asleep. So at the time, it really like did what it probably was supposed to do. But now the key is to learning how to meditate and stay awake, because you're not really supposed to lay down, I don't think, but my ass is like ready to go to sleep when I meditate. But really being able to calm your mind and quiet your mind is so, so key in how you feel about yourself and how you feel throughout your day. Another part of loving yourself, like I said, I had a really hard time making decisions. And I think one thing I had to learn was, instead of just saying like, I don't know, when someone asks you something, make a decision. My therapist once told me, she was like, you can make the wrong decision, but at least you're making a decision. Like, forever the thing. If someone asks me, what do you want to eat? I don't like to choose, because I don't, like, my initial response is just, I don't know, right? Whereas now, I'll make a decision. And even if I'm like, I get there and it doesn't taste that good, that's okay. At least I'm learning to make decisions, and then I can make a different decision next time. So making decisions is also super key. I'm gonna recap at the end kind of like all the little points that I just went across or went over. All right, y'all, this one, some people might have a problem with this. I had a problem enforcing this. You gotta set boundaries. Part of loving yourself is protecting your space, protecting your energy, protecting your peace. You have to set boundaries, and it does not make, have you ever seen those things like, am I the asshole? You are not the asshole for having boundaries, for saying, look, I'm not partaking in that. No, thank you. That's not a conversation we're gonna be having. No, you can't do this with me. No, I'm not gonna do that. Set boundaries. And I saw, where was it? It was on a Red Table Talk actually, which y'all might feel controversial about Jada Pinkett, but that's fine. But this woman was on the show and they were talking about boundaries. She said they're literally just like preferences. You don't have to make it like super deep and be like, no, this is what I want. This is how it's gonna be. Literally, that's just a preference. If you aren't okay with someone calling you at 5 o'clock in the morning because you just worked a 12-hour shift and they don't give a shit about that, you can say, look, I will not answer my phone until 7 o'clock. And if you cannot respect my boundary, unfortunately, you will be blocked on my phone because I am not going to let you, just disturb my peace and what I have going on just because you're inconsiderate of what I have going on. So set boundaries. I cannot and if people are working on it and they're not, you can't, nobody's perfect. So when you set a boundary, it's not always going to be perfect. It can be a work in progress. But if someone is genuinely trying to respect your boundary, great, cool, you are welcome around me. If you just are consciously showing that you don't give a shit, you gotta go. No matter who you are, you got to go. Okay? And that goes for respect, things that are just being respectful, I guess I would say. If you, like I said, if you're calling me and I just worked and you don't give a fuck, you gotta go. If you're calling me and you're always talking about drama, bye. But setting boundaries is so important and is super healthy as well. I don't know why I'm repeating everything, but it is. And kind of one I already said, do things that you enjoy to do. Do things that make you feel good, even if you don't enjoy doing it. Maybe you don't particularly care for a self-care day, but you feel amazing after. Prioritize it. Do the things that make you feel good, because the more you feel good and treat yourself well, the more you're gonna love yourself, and that's an act of you showing yourself love, if that makes sense. All right, so to recap real quick, everything basically summed up. What I did first is I prioritized my health in all aspects, my physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health. I started getting active. I started eating better. I started sleeping, the right amount of sleep that you need. I started going to therapy. All these things are super important in prioritizing your health, and that's a way that you can show yourself that you love yourself. Number 2, figure out the life that you're trying to create so you can have a direction for where you're going. Figure out what you want your life to look like, how you want to feel about yourself. Those things are super key. And another thing people would call it would be manifesting. I don't know if you would call it that, but that's what I think. Prioritize me time. Set aside time where you're meditating, you're reading, you are consciously making decisions in your day-to-day life. Prioritize me time in every way that you have a chance to. I'm not saying disregard your other relationships, but prioritize yourself too. Set boundaries. So clear. I know I got both arms going, but it is so important. I say so clear. It's so important. Set healthy boundaries. And last but not least, spend time doing things that you love, that make you feel good. That's an action that you can do in order to show yourself that you love yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got something from it. Like I said, it's been a process for me. It's an everyday evolving thing. Where I still have to get to compared to where I am now is I'm still losing weight. I'm still learning. I had a really big issue with emotional eating, something and that's something that I'm working on. Still not asking people's opinion to verify what I'm already making a decision on, if that makes sense. So I'll never be at perfect, but I still have room to grow in some of those areas that I just talked about. But if you guys have any other ideas or anything that you can do to kind of jumpstart your self-love journey, drop them down below, because I'd love to learn more about other people's perspectives and things that they've done. If you guys did enjoy this though, be sure to give this video a thumbs up so I know what kind of content you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.